Welcome to Lento English. Ready to level up your English? Here we learn through stories, slow, clear, and fun. Listen, relax, and enjoy the journey.
1. Introduction. In the 1860s, Japan was a country with old ways. Most people lived simple lives. They worked on farms or used old methods to make things. Life was very different from countries in the West, like Britain or America. In the West, there were many new factories. Machines made things quickly. These countries were becoming rich and powerful. Then something big happened. Japan started to change, and it changed very, very quickly. In just a few decades, Japan became a rich country. It built its own factories and modern cities. It learned to use new technology. This fast change is important. Japan's story is an example for other countries. Many countries want to become rich and modern. They can look at Japan and learn how it happened. Why is learning about Japan helpful for us today? It shows how a country can change its future. It shows how people can learn new things and build a strong economy. It helps us understand how the world changed in the past and how countries become powerful. The main question we will look at is this: how did Japan become rich so fast? It went from an old country to a modern one in a short time. What did Japan do? What were the important steps in its journey? This book will tell that story and try to answer this big question. 2. Old Japan and big ships. For a very long time, Japan was mostly closed to the world. People from other countries could not easily come to Japan. Japanese people could not easily leave Japan. This lasted for more than 200 years. During this time, Japan had only a little contact with two countries. These were the Netherlands and Korea. Some people from the Netherlands could stay in a small place near the city of Nagasaki. People from Korea could sometimes visit. Through this small contact, some Japanese people could learn about the world outside. They read books from foreign countries. These books had new ideas about science and other things. So some Japanese people knew that other countries had new technologies and ways of doing things. Then, in the year 1853, something big happened. Some large ships came to Japan. These were American ships. They looked very different from Japanese ships. They were black and used steam, not just wind. The American ships came to a place called Edo Bay, which is now Tokyo Bay. The leader of the American ships was named Commodore Perry. He had a letter from the President of the United States. The letter had demands. The Americans wanted Japan to open its ports. They wanted to trade. They also wanted help for American sailors who were lost at sea near Japan. The Americans did not just ask nicely. They used threats. Their big ships had powerful guns. These guns were much bigger and better than Japan's old cannons. Japan's soldiers had old guns and swords. They were not ready to fight against these modern ships and weapons. Japan saw that its old ways of fighting were not strong enough to stop the Americans. After the American ships came, other countries also sent their ships to Japan. Countries like Britain, Russia, and France also wanted Japan to open up. They also made demands. Japan had to think fast about what to do. 3. Why foreign ships came. Foreign ships came to Japan for important reasons. One big reason was trade. Many countries wanted to trade with China. China was a very large country with many people. It was a big market to sell things to and buy things from. But the journey to China by ship was very long. Ships had to travel across large oceans. For many years, ships used wind to move. These ships were slow, but in the 1800s, new ships were built. These were steamships. Steamships used engines that needed coal to make power. Coal made the engines work and the ships move faster. Steamships were better for long journeys because they did not need wind. They could travel in any weather. The long journey across the ocean to China needed stops. Ships needed to stop to get more coal. They also needed food and water for the sailors. Japan was in a very good place for these ships. It was near the end of the long ocean trip to China. Japan was like a perfect stop before going to China or after leaving China. Countries that wanted to trade with China saw Japan. They saw that Japan had coal. They saw that it was a good place to stop. So many foreign ships started coming to Japan. They did not want to take over Japan. They mostly wanted a safe place to stop and buy coal. They wanted to use Japan because of its location and its coal. Japan had kept foreign ships away for a very long time, more than 200 years. It was a closed country. But the ships that came in the 1800s were different. They were large and strong steamships. They had powerful guns. Japan's old weapons and ships were not strong enough to stop them. The foreign countries made demands, and Japan could not say no easily. This was why many foreign ships came to Japan at that time. 4. Japan changes fast. After the strong foreign ships came, Japan had a big choice. Should they fight these powerful countries? Japan looked at its old weapons and its small army. They saw the modern ships and guns of the foreign visitors. Fighting seemed like a bad idea. Japan decided not to fight. Instead, Japan chose to open its doors. But opening the country was not easy. The foreign countries made treaties with Japan. These treaties were not fair. Foreigners could live in Japan but did not have to follow Japanese laws. Japan could not set its own prices for things coming into the country. These unfair rules made Japan feel weak. Many people in Japan did not like this. They felt sad and angry about the situation. People started to say, "We need a new government." They wanted a government that could make Japan strong again. They wanted to be equal with other countries. In the year 1868, a big change happened. The old government ended. The young emperor, called the Meiji Emperor, became the new head of the country. New leaders came with him. These leaders were smart and wanted the best for Japan. The new government had a clear goal. Their goal was to keep Japan safe and free. They did not want Japan to be controlled by foreign powers. To do this, they knew Japan must become strong. They looked at the Western countries, America, Britain, and others. These countries had strong armies and rich economies. How did they do it? The Japanese leaders saw that Western countries used new technology. They had factories, trains, and steamships. Japan needed to learn these things too. The plan was simple but big: copy the Western ways. Learn their science, their technology, and their ways of building industry. This would help Japan build its own strong economy and a modern army. They sent people to study in Western countries. They invited foreign teachers to Japan. Japanese people started to build new things. For example, a Japanese inventor learned about steam engines. He worked hard and built a steam engine in Japan. This was just one small step, but it showed Japan was ready to change and learn fast. The country was moving from old ways to new, modern ways very quickly. This fast change was important for Japan's future. 5. Building a strong Japan. Japan needed its own way to become a strong country. After opening its doors to the world, Japan saw how other nations in the West were building many factories and making many things. Japan wanted to do this too. They wanted to build a strong economy. Clever people in Japan had good ideas for new businesses and new ways to make products. They knew how to build things well, but many of these smart people did not have enough money to start their big plans. So, the new government decided to help. The leaders understood that having many businesses and factories was very important for making the country strong and keeping it safe from other powerful nations. The government made a plan to give money. This money was used to help people build new factories. It also helped them start different kinds of businesses, like making cloth or ships. This help from the government was very important for people who had good ideas but not much money of their own. One clear example of this help is the island of Hokkaido in the north of Japan. Before this time, Hokkaido was not used very much for farming or business. The government put a lot of effort and money into Hokkaido. They helped people move there. They helped them start new farms to grow food. They also helped build new businesses on the island. This made Hokkaido grow and become successful very quickly. People in other parts of Japan saw how this plan worked well. So the government copied this idea in many other areas across the country. They helped start farms, mines, and factories in different places. The government did not want to own all these businesses forever. Its plan was to give them a start, like planting a seed. The government helped build the first factories or farms. Then, after they started working, the government sold them or let private people or groups take control. These private owners then worked hard to make the businesses grow even larger and more successful. This was a clever plan. The money made by these businesses stayed in Japan. It was used to build more things or make the businesses better. This money did not go to other countries. Because of this help from the government at the beginning, many big Japanese companies could start. These companies grew over many years. This way of building the economy, with the government giving important help at the start and then letting private owners make things grow, was a very important reason for Japan becoming a rich and powerful country. It helped Japan build its own industries. It also made sure that the money and knowledge stayed inside Japan, building a strong country from the inside. Many famous Japanese companies you might know today started in this way a long time ago. This method helped Japan build a strong base for its economy for the future. 6. Japan and the world. Japan changed quickly and became strong, but many countries around the world still did not see Japan as their equal. The old agreements or treaties Japan had with other countries were not fair. These treaties gave other countries many advantages in Japan. Japan wanted new treaties. It wanted agreements that were fair, like the ones between strong Western countries. Japan worked hard to change these old treaties. It showed the world it was a modern and strong nation. After some time, Britain agreed to make a new, fair treaty with Japan. This was a very important moment. It showed that a big Western power now saw Japan differently. When Britain made a fair treaty, other countries started to do the same. Step by step, Japan gained more respect and control over its own trade and laws. As Japan became stronger, it started to act like the big countries in the West. These countries often took control of lands far from their homes. They built empires. Japan began to do this too. It started to take over lands nearby. Why did Japan want these lands called colonies? The colonies gave Japan important things like raw materials for its factories. They also made Japan feel safer and more powerful on the world stage. Having colonies was a sign of being a strong country at that time. However, taking control of other lands was not good for the people living there. Japan ruled these lands and sometimes treated the people badly. This caused problems that lasted for many years. Back in Japan, life for many people got better in the years before a big world war started. The country was richer and more modern, but Japan's fast growth and its desire for more power and land led to conflict with other countries. This growth was a reason why Japan later became involved in a very big war. 7. After the big war, Japan did not win the big war. The country was hurt badly. Many cities and buildings were broken. Factories stopped working. After the war, soldiers from the United States of America came to Japan. They stayed for some years. This is called the occupation. At the start, the USA had a plan for Japan. They wanted Japan to be a very peaceful country. They did not want Japan to have a large army or navy anymore. The USA wanted to stop Japan from starting another war. But later, the world started to change. There was a new problem in the world. This problem was communism. The USA became worried about communism spreading. So the USA's plan for Japan changed. Now the USA wanted Japan to be strong. They wanted Japan to be a friend and a help against communism. This change was important for Japan. Japan decided not to spend a lot of money on having a big army. Instead, Japan put its energy and money into making its economy strong. Building businesses and making products became the main goal. The USA helped Japan in some ways. They helped Japan trade with other countries. This was good because Japan needed to sell things to make money. Japan was smart. It looked at what it could make very well. Japan decided to focus on making these things. This helped Japan sell more products to the world. Japan started to build its important factories and industries again. For example, they built factories for making coal and steel. These things are needed to build many other things. Japan worked hard to make these industries strong again after the war. Slowly, Japan's economy began to grow. It got stronger and stronger. People worked hard. Businesses made more things. Japan sold more products. The economy became much bigger than it was before the big war. Japan changed from a country with many problems to a country with a growing economy again. 8. Japan. Today and its people. To build a modern country, Japan needed many people who knew new things. So the government started to build many more schools across the country. This was a big change. Now almost everyone, boys and girls, could go to school. People learned to read and write, and they learned about science and technology. Some Japanese people also traveled to countries in Europe and America to study. They brought back new knowledge and skills. This helped Japan make many new products. They made things like cloth, ships, and later cars and electronics. They sold these products to other countries all over the world. Japanese companies became very good at making things. They learned to make products quickly and without wasting materials. This made their products good and not too expensive. Because of this, Japanese companies did very well. They could sell their products even in rich countries. This helped Japan's economy grow very big. Life for people in Japan became much better. They had better jobs, better homes, and more money to spend. The number of people living in Japan also grew for many years. However, later the population started to get smaller. Also, people began to live longer lives. This meant there were many old people and not enough young workers. This became a new challenge for Japan. To help with the lack of workers, more women started to work outside the home. Before, many women mainly worked at home. Now they worked in offices, shops, and factories. This was an important change, but women sometimes faced problems at work. They did not always have the same chances as men. They might do different jobs or get less pay for the same work. This difference between men and women in jobs and pay was a problem for a long time. After the year 1990, Japan's economy did not grow as fast as before. It grew more slowly for many years. But Japan's story is still very important. It shows how a country can change a lot and become rich very quickly. There are many lessons from Japan's history for countries today.